If I go like this, I think we can just pretend that this is all done. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Oline and I'm a knitter from Norway, and welcome to my knitting podcast. Here I talk about everything knitting related, yarn, current projects, finished projects, projects I want to cast on, yarn I want to get, just everything that comes to mind while I sit here and talk to you guys. But before we get into all of that, you might see that I'm not in my usual filming location. I am currently visiting my fiance's family, so I'm filming in a different location, so if it looks a bit different, sounds a bit different, that's why. But now I can get into talking about what I'm wearing, and today I'm wearing my lovely porcelain sweater. This has quickly become one of my favorite sweaters. It is super warm, lovely, it has a lovely drape, it's just easy to throw on, and it also is extremely beautiful. I am in love with this sweater, it's so pretty. I am so proud that I have knit this every time I wear it, so this is just something I gravitate towards a lot and something I pick to wear a lot. So when I was traveling, this was one of the few sweaters I decided to bring with me because I'm so proud of this that I want to like show it off everywhere I go. And since we were going to a city, I thought I'm going to bring this. We've also went to Sandnes Garn today, the fabric, so I wanted to wear this to like show that I was a knitter. But this is my porcelain. You get a better look at it. I love all the details that this border matches with the one on the sleeve, that they match up. It's just a really well thought out pattern. It's by Lene Holm Samsø, and I knit mine in Drops Flora in white and denim blue, or jeans blue I think it might be called. So, and I knit size medium, I think. That got me this fit. I also decided to do, when I knit this, I decided to make one alteration. I think that was the only alteration I made, is that I decided to do this contrast edge on my sleeves and on the hem of the body as well, just to tie that color back in, especially on the sleeves where you have this really long part where it's just white. I thought it was really nice to tie some of that blue back in. On the body, that part isn't quite as long with just white, but I thought it was a really nice detail to just end all of the hems with that blue, and I really enjoy that, and I think it's really nice to have something that kind of separates it from all of the other porcelain sweaters, since a lot of porcelain sweaters have been made in these like exact colors. Another thing with this porcelain sweater is that I still have yet to cut off my weaved in ends. The ends are all weaved in, but on this whole sleeve I weaved in the ends in the car when I was going to visit a friend, and that's over a month ago. And after weaving in those ends and starting wearing it, I just have not gone back to actually cut them off, but they are woven in. I just have to find a pair of scissors and actually cut them off. But that's kind of where the process stopped. So I still think this sleeve has 5 or 6 ends that I need to cut, so hopefully I'll get to that soon. But that's everything about my porcelain sweater. I'm still very much obsessed with it. But now we can get into my current projects, and I've brought with me all of my projects on this trip. I am not a light packer when it comes to knitting. I always bring way too much. I bring all of my active projects and then enough yarn for maybe 10 others, so I went a bit overboard, but at least I have all of my active projects so I can tell you about them. And first off is of course the Violeta sweater. I really wanted this to be finished by this podcast, but I have just been knitting on a lot of other stuff, and also I have been traveling, and the Violeta now is so huge that it's not that easy to knit on the go or in the car or when we have been moving around in the city. So this is like a at-home project, but I have managed to work a bit on it before we left, and a bit in this apartment as well. So before we left, I did manage to finish the hem on the bottom, on the body, so that's really nice. I actually have not tried it on since finishing the ribbing and and doing the Italian bind off. I tried it on just before starting the ribbing, I think, but I haven't tried it on since. And now I have also started it on the left sleeve, where I'm doing this cable at the top. So this has been going, the sleeve has been going by really quickly. I started knitting it last night, I think, and I am a bit over halfway now, I think, I hope, but it's going much faster because most of the sleeve is stockinette, and then I'm just doing cables at the top, as opposed to the body where you're doing cables and lace all over the place. But what I thought would be fun is to finally try on this with the finished body and almost the finished sleeve now, just to see where I'm at and how it actually fits. So that's what I'm going to do. I am knitting this Violeta sweater in Drops Flora and Drops Kid Silk. The Flora is just called pink, and the Kid Silk is called pearl pink, I think, and together they're making the perfect match. This is not going to be the last time I work with these two together. And I also brought with me all of the yarn I would need to finish this one, just in case I would get time to work on it. And let's see. This is how it currently looks. I think I'll gain a bit of positive ease when I block it, just when the lace stretches out a bit, and also the cables. But so far I am really pleased with how it's looking. This is just the perfect like feminine fit, and the color, I'm also really happy with where this stops on me, and I just want to pretend that it's done. If I go like this, I think we can just pretend that this is all done. But I am really pleased with how this is turning out. Now I'm even more excited to work on this and get it done. I hope that today will have a more chill day, so I can just knit away on this and at least finish this sleeve. As you can see, I don't have that much left before starting the ribbing on the first sleeve, and I always think the first sleeve is the sleeve that takes the longest, because then you have to figure out how long to knit for and think a lot more. But the second sleeve, it's just more automatic. You know exactly how long you have to knit for, and you can just dive right in, go at it. So hopefully I'll have this done by the next podcast at least. I'm pretty sure I will have managed that. So I am really excited now that I've tried it on too. This is exactly the fit I was looking for and the color I was looking for. I'm so excited to have this in my wardrobe and to have something pink in my wardrobe finally. It's going to be so great. I can just tell that this is going to be a sweater I use loads, especially now that we are starting to head more in the direction of spring. Where I'm at now, I would say that it is already spring, so I am dreading a bit going back home to snow and negative degrees, but I am really savoring spring while we're here. but I think that once spring finally comes to where I live, this is going to be something I get so much use out of, and in the colder summer days as well. This is going to be great, and also in the winter when you just miss spring, I can imagine this being used a lot. So I am just so excited to have this done, and it's turned out much better than I ever dreamed it would. So that is my Violeta, and I'm finally starting to see the finish line. I do love this, but I think it's been on my needles for 6 weeks now, and I am really ready to get it off my needles. I feel like this has just taken so much knitting time, and I've not progressed a lot even though I've used so much knitting time on it. So I am ready to get this off my needles and being able to focus on my other knits. But that is the Violeta Sweater by Eweknit. And then I'm just going to put on my porcelain again. And then I have another whip that's been on my needles for really long, because this just never makes it to the front of the line. All of my knits are a bit tangled together, of course. There we go. This is a knit that also just never makes it to the front of the line because the Violeta never gets finished, and then I have too many other good ideas. So this just gets pushed to the back because I can't really focus on 2 of my own sweaters. I have 2 sweaters for myself as the main focus at the time. I feel like that's a bit too much. But this is the Melange sweater that I'm knitting for myself in the leftovers from this porcelain sweater, actually, just without the mohair, but with the flora in the denim blue and in the white. I'm making this Milan sweater, and I do really love how this is turning out. I just have not had the time to work a lot on it. I have been thinking about how to counteract the difference in marling. I've talked a lot about that, the difference between knitting back and forth and then starting knitting in the round, so I've thought about how to counteract that. So what I have decided to do is that before I'm going to start back knitting again, I am going to break the yarn for one of the colors and then thread. Say I break the yarn on the blue, I'm going to thread the blue yarn in like the hole, kind of in the hollow part in the yarn. So take the blue yarn through here, and then what I hope will happen is that as I pull on the white and then the blue, that the white will kind of wrap around the blue yarn. So I think that's what I'm going to try next, and hopefully that will work. And then I just have to keep in mind every time I change skeins to thread the color through the other yarn, and hopefully that will fix my mistake. But I haven't knit anything on this since last week, I think, at most like a round, because I've just been thinking about what the plan is for this one, what I'm going to test out first to see what can fix my problem. I've also managed to spill something on this, I think, down here. I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully that will come out when I wash it. But I did have big hopes for this one as well when we are here. So when I tried to figure out what to pack with in terms of knitwear for me and my son, I did decide to bring his Melange Sweater Junior. I'm going to get that. I did bring his Melange Sweater Junior just in case, so that we could match if I were to finish mine. So this is that, and I think you can see it here as well, where I knit back and forth and then started knitting in the round here. I think there's quite a stark difference here as well. But what I have to say is that I think the difference is showing up way clearer on camera, because when I just look at it like right in front of me, I don't notice it as much. So that's what I hope with this one, that because now I feel like you can see very clearly where I started working in the round, and I'm going to try to fix that problem, solve it. But what I don't want to do is rip back, so I hope I can just fix it and everything will blend together once it's done, so you can't see like, oh, here she knit back and forth and here she just knit in the round and here she fixed the problem again. I hope it just all blends together like it has done on this. I think you can see it on camera, but it really isn't that noticeable in real life. It just looks like a marled sweater, so that is my hope for my own as well, that it will just end up looking like a marled sweater, no matter if I can figure it out or not. But it would be really nice if I could figure it out so it wouldn't be noticeable at all. But I have my son's sweater with me here if I manage to finish mine. But as you can see, I've just started knitting in the round here, so I still have quite a lot to do, both sleeves, everything. And today is Thursday and we are leaving very early Saturday, so it's like I have 1.5 days left, so I don't think that's going to happen at all. But you can, at least I dream big. But yeah, that is my Melange sweater that unfortunately has not gotten a lot of attention. But once the Violeta is done, this is going to definitely move up in priority. And then let's see what else. I think that I'm trying to talk about my project so it lightens up when I start them. And I think the next one is this. This is the Carl's cardigan I started last week because I got some Petiteknit in the golden brown, because golden brown is my absolute favorite color that Sandnes Garn has, and it's been discontinued in most of their yarns, but someone told me that they had it in Petiteknit, so I just had to get it. And I had some other yarn in my stash that I was going to trade in anyways because I didn't have a need for it. And my local yarn store, I think they accept trading yarn. If you bought the yarn within like 6 months, you can trade it for something else. So I did that and got Petiteknit. I think I got 6 skeins and I have 4 left. So this is what I've gotten done with 2 skeins of Petiteknit. I just finished my second one. And I'm knitting the Carl's cardigan, as I said. I'm knitting it in the size 4 to 5 years because I have a Carl's cardigan currently for my son in the size 2 to 3 years. But that's been really tight and really small the whole time he's had it. So even before he was 2 years old, it was like just a little bit tight. So I think the Carl's cardigan might run a bit on the smaller side. So instead of making the size 3 to 4 years old and it just being a bit small and not lasting quite as long, I decided to just go for it and make the 4 to 5 year old size, even though it will take me a bit longer to make now. That means I won't have to make a new one as soon. And I really love this cardigan, so I'm really excited for my son to have it in his wardrobe for quite some time. I think last we spoke I had just done the ribbing, but now I have established the pattern and worked quite a bit on that while we've been here. This has been like my go-to project because it is still quite small. It is quite a few stitches to get through, and the pattern looks a bit complicated, but it really isn't, and it is small enough that I just stuff it in my bag and have it on the move. I put it when we're just riding the train for a few minutes, or if I have a minute here and there while my son relaxes or plays and he doesn't need like constant attention. I get in a few stitches here and there when we go visit someone. This is what I bring. So this is definitely the thing that I've progressed the most on this last few days while we've been here, because it's been what I've had the most time to knit on, and I am loving the color, I'm loving the stitch pattern, I am loving everything about this, and I think I am just a few centimeters away now from being ready to start knitting the sleeves, and then I'm going to knit the sleeves and start doing the yoke after that, so I'm really excited. I have been a bit afraid that I wouldn't have enough yarn because this is not the appropriate yarn for the pattern. I think the pattern asks for alpaca wool, and alpaca wool is 100 meters per skein, while Petiteknit I think is 91. So with 6 skeins that difference starts to really rack up. I think that those 9 meters multiplied by 6 is what's that? Like about more than 50 meters, so that's more than half a skein. So I've been really worried about not having enough yarn, but I still have 4 skeins left and I'm almost done with the main part of the body, so fingers crossed I'll have enough yarn, because I really want this to be a perfect jacket and I don't want to have to get another dye-lot. If I have to get another dye-lot, I hope I only have to use that for the button band, because I'm going to pick up stitches here and here to knit the button band, and I don't think it really matters if the button band is a bit of a different dye-lot, but I just have to knit on this a lot just to see if I'll win yarn chicken or not, because I am worried and just need to see this through and see how it ends. So this is what I gravitate towards working on, just because it's fun. I see progress because you always are doing something else, and I just have to see how this game of yarn chicken ends. So that is, what was that? I think my 3rd whip, and then my 4th whip is my wedding dress, and I talked a bit about that last week, that I had started it and I just could not figure out the construction, what to do, how to do it. It just wasn't turning out right at all. And I said then that if I didn't come up with anything satisfactory with the like top-down construction, that I would begin bottom-up, and that is what I have ended up doing. Of course, now I'm in the middle of a row, so I'm trying to just knit that through so I can show it to you better. But I just did not figure out a way to do the construction starting top down in a way that I liked it all. So I started thinking again, and I remembered my Christmas dress, and that has also a square neck, and I really want a square neck, and my Christmas dress is kind of knit bottom up when it comes to the bodice part, maybe you would call it, of the dress. So I've decided to do something similar to that, because with the Christmas dress I made, the modified Augustine's number 16, you knit like a tube that goes across your chest, and then you pick up stitches for the underarm and then cast on stitches to go above your arm, and then you connect in the round. So that's what I'm going to do with my wedding dress as well. I have knit an I-cord I've knit an I-cord, what's it called? An I-cord string that I picked up stitches from. So the I-cord will be around my waist here, and then I've picked up stitches. So I'm going to knit from the I-cord and up. And I'm making some changes from the way the construction on the Christmas dress was, because instead of knitting around like a tube, I'm knitting back and forth. So I'll have an opening in the back, and hopefully that will turn out how I hope it will. It is a bit nerve-wracking knitting a wedding dress because knitted fabric is just very stretchy and everything. So I have tried to do the I-cord to make it a bit less stretchy, and I've also went down a needle size, and I'm knitting quite tight on that needle size as well. I think I'm knitting with sisu and alpaca feltråd from Sandnes Garn, so I think those two together you would really like ideally knit on a 4mm, but I think that was just way too stretchy, so I'm knitting on 3.5, and when I knit on 3.5mm I usually knit quite tight, so I'm doing that now as well, and that has led to the fabric not being too stretchy. So now I'm just working my way up the bodice, and then when I get to about this point, the same as my wedding dress, I'm going to cast off and then pick up stitches like I did for my Christmas dress, the Augustins number 16. I am knitting with different size needles and everything, so I'll have to figure out different numbers. I also don't want puffy sleeves like the Augustins number 16. I want more tight-fitting sleeves, and I want that cable that I've talked about. I just need to finish knitting this so I can show you everything. But I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. I think that will be much easier than to try to figure out the construction top down, because I just could not figure it out. I wanted to pull my hair out. It just did not make sense to me, so I'm feeling a lot better about it now that I'm working bottom up, so I'll take that as a good sign. Let's see, of course, there's a cable happening right now. I just have to do this cable here, and then I'll show you what this looks like, because since I'm knitting this back and forth with an open back, I am having a cable on each side of what's going to be the back, where I don't know if I'm going to do a button band or what exactly I'm going to end up doing there, but I'm having a cable there for decoration and to also tie in that cable detail. I don't want it to just be on the sleeves, I also want it to be other places on the dress, so I thought the back was a really fitting place. So this is how far I've gotten, and down here you can see the I-cord where I've picked up stitches. I've not gotten very far yet, but this is it. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. And then of course I still have quite a ways to go until I'm up here, and then picking up stitches and casting on over here. So hopefully that will be great. And also with this I-cord here, I am going to pick up stitches on the other side of the I-cord to make the skirt. Oh, focus. I'm going to pick up on the other side down here of the I-cord to make the skirt. I just have to be sure that the bodice is satisfactory, because that is really the hard part of this dress. And here you can see the cable, if it focuses, and the cable might be the thing I'm the most happy about with this so far. I'm really like the cable, I also really like the yarn and how that looks together. So I am really excited about this. I have not got very far yet, as you can see, but I have a year and a bit less than a year, but almost a year until this needs to be finished, so I'm not stressing about it. And now that it feels like I have a solution, I am way less stressed. So now this is just a fun project I work on a little bit here and there. I'm still trying to eliminate my other whips so I can just have fun knitting on this. But so far this week I feel like I've really made progress and started to figure out how I actually want it, and working on this has just been really fun, and not just thinking about how I want it to be, but actually having to think and figure out solutions has just been great. So I really hope that after knitting this dress that I'll continue knitting more things for myself without a pattern, but I have to see how this goes first. But so far this is all I've got. I'm still on my first skein of both sisu and alpaca felletron, even though I think I brought like 5 of sisu and 3 of the alpaca felletron. As I said, I'm not a light packer when it comes to knitting. I am way too scared to run out of yarn, so I've packed a lot. You've seen the project so far. I brought all the Petiteknit I would need for the Carl's cardigan. I brought all the flora I would need for the Melange. I brought all of the flora and kid silk I would need for the Violeta. I brought more than enough for the wedding dress. And then, just in case I would run out of yarn, I of course brought even more. I brought the drops Nepal for my slippers. I still hope to be able to cast those on either the last day here or on the way back home. So I have that. And in case I would finish those as well, I have some merino extra fine to make my son a pair of pants, William's overalls. And I also brought 2 skeins of drops merino extra fine, not in this dark grey, but in a lighter grey. I think that might be over here. Yes, this one. I only have one left because I've actually used one of the skeins, so that's a good thing. But I have one extra of each of these colors because I'm hoping that I'll have the time to make my twin cousins a pair of mittens, because we are visiting them on the way back home on Saturday, so I want to be able to give them mittens. So I have the yarn for that, I just don't know if I have the time. And then I think I brought, no, maybe that's it. So I brought yarn for a lot of projects for this 5-day trip, but we had the space for it in the car, and I would much rather have the peace of mind of knowing I have enough yarn than being stressed about having too little. But yeah, I think we can move into finished projects. And when I was getting ready to film this video, I was like, I haven't been able to knit anything. I have no finished objects, no nothing, because I just thought about how little knitting time I've had since we've been here. But I have actually finished 2 items. I just have forgotten to bring them here with me, so give me a second. First finished project this week is this weekend headband in too dark yarn to even be able to really show it. But this is the headband by Petiteknit, the weekend headband. It's double layer, if you can see, and then Kitchener stitched together here. I don't know if you can see, but I was really proud of myself that I managed to do the Kitchener stitch in like, what's it called? Stocknet and purling. I made this with the leftovers from my Eva cardigan. My plan with the leftovers from my Eva cardigan has always been to make one of these headbands. I just have not prioritized it, but now that we were coming here where it's spring, I thought a headband would be perfect. So the last few days before we left, I spent my time making this, and it looks a bit silly with my bangs, and my bangs are a bit too long as well, but I love having this. It's been great here, and I am just obsessed with all things spring lately. I just want to manifest spring in all ways possible, so this headband was another way of doing that. I did not have the time to wash or block it before we left, so I do really enjoy wearing it because it is super warm. Like, it's almost too warm to wear, but it is just a little bit too itchy to be super comfortable. Just because Petiteknit is like a really stiff, kinda itchy yarn before it gets that first wash, and also maybe the first couple of wears, but I've been wearing it regardless, and I have been loving it. So now I'm super excited to get back home and give this a wash, so it will be even more comfortable, and then I'm going to rock this look until June probably. And just imagine it with my Eva as well. I am really excited. I haven't had a headband in years, so this is great. And now that I've made it once, I think I'm going to make more, just because it was really fun, and I imagine it could be nice to have in other yarns than just Petiteknit as well, because Petiteknit is really warm. And because it is a bit itchy, it's not the most comfortable when skiing, for example, and getting a bit sweaty. So, but the weekend headband, great. And also I got away with knitting it with under 50 grams. So I managed, like, when I did sew it together, the thread that was left from knitting it was exactly how much I needed to finish sewing it shut. So this was perfect. I won yarn chicken and I was left with no yarn. So that was a great project. And then when we were packing for our trip here, I realized that my son didn't have any mittens. The one that fit him were gone. I think we have a mitten thief in our house, or someone who steals them and hides them away, because I couldn't find any, and the ones I could find were too small. So I decided, since the car ride here is the car ride here is about 11 hours, so I decided to try to knit him mittens while in the car, so he would have mittens ready when we arrived. And I didn't finish the mittens while in the car ride, because a car ride with the toddler is not just a car ride. You have to be on and be entertaining and do other things than just knitting. But early the next morning, before we headed out for the day, I did finish these mittens, and I made the Lavrans mittens by, what are they called? Havrebarna, I think. And these are my favorite mittens for my son. They have this really long ribbing, which I love, because then it really stays in place. And you can also roll it up because it's so long, so that's something I really enjoy. I also love the texture on the mittens, both because it's fun to knit and because it makes the mittens really stretchy in every way, so they last a lot longer. I have made multiple of these before, and my son also really loves wearing them. I did finish the first mitten while in the car, and I gave that to him to try on just to see if it was going to fit, because he is in between 2 sizes, and I chose the largest one, but I was really worried it was going to be too large and just uncomfortable to wear, because it would just be too large and flap around. So I got him to try it on just to see, and it fit perfectly. But he loved the mittens so much from like the get-go that after that he refused to take it on, and he just looked at me and said, Mamma, en till what? Which means that he was just like, Mom, you have to make another one, I need another one right now. So I just had to get started on another one, and when both were finished he was just walking around me in circles while I was finishing them on the second mitten, because he was so excited to wear them and go outside and play with them. So I can definitely say that he's a really knit-worthy person, because he loves his knits. And these have been used loads already, even though they've just been finished for like 3 days. They have been soaking wet and dirty and everything I can get in those days, and they've kept my son warm and happy, so they've definitely done what they were supposed to do. And I think I need to make him another pair of mittens when we get home, because you really can't have too many, and as I said, the mittens we have just keep getting lost. But those are the 2 projects I have finished. And then today, before my son was going to have a nap, we visited Sandnes Garn, their fabric, because we are in Sandnes, and when in Sandnes, of course, you have to visit Sandnes Garn if you're a knitter, because they have fabrikkutsalg, where there's a place where they sell like the yarn that isn't 100%. It might have a few too many knots in the yarn, it's just not perfect, so they can't sell it at the full retail price. So I went there, which is really scary when you're trying to decrease your stash, and I can definitely say that after today it's going to be much harder to decrease my stash, because I got quite a lot. But I thought I'd share what I got and my plans for it. I have plans for most of it, and some things are just colors and yarn I know I'll use because I love the color. So first off, the first thing I saw when I entered the store was this Cardigan in this red. I don't know if you can see it through the plastic, but this is just so bright red, and I do really love Cardigan, and I love Sandnes Garn. It's just a bit out of my price range when it's fully priced, but now that it's discontinued I just had to get a lot because I really love it, and especially working with Norwegian wool like Cardigan and in this bright red color I just had to. So I think this is 1 kilo of this lovely red Cardigan that I don't really have a plan for. I'm just super excited. Imagine a sweater for my son in this, maybe with some yellow as well. It could be like fire truck themed. I think that could be really cool, but I don't have an exact plan for that. And then I also got some merino wool. This is about 800 grams in this pink color, and I don't know exactly what to do with it, but my friends are having a lot of girl babies now, so I thought, since this is merino wool and in this pink color, that this would be perfect for some baby gifts, and also a bit cheaper than fully priced yarn. And then I got 2 skeins of this pink fritids garn for my mother because she wanted that, and I got 6 skeins of this like more boring color perfect, because this is sock yarn, and I've been wanting to make myself Sunday socks for a while, but just I don't have the yarn that's appropriate for it, and this is sock yarn and it was really cheap, so I just had to get it. So I got enough yarn for Sunday socks for myself, and also a pair of Sunday socks for my son, just because he also needs socks. And then I bought a kilo of most of these colors, just because with a kilo I feel like I can make absolutely everything then. I got some more Petiteknit in this lovely color. My fiance also liked this color, and I do really love blue, so of course I had to get some blue. I don't know exactly what this will be, but I think most of this will turn into sweaters. And I got some tin Petiteknit as well in this, I don't know what you would say, but it's a really deep green color, and I'm going to make multiple different things with this because I also got a kilo of this. But the first thing I'm going to make is a Sophie scarf for my fiance's grandma, because we're visiting her and I really want to give her something. I think giving something to the people you care about is really special, especially if it's something handmade, so I really want to do that for her. And then I got this yarn for my friend. I got 20 skeins, so 1 kilo of this color and 20 of this. And this is Sandnes Garn Smart, because she wanted that. And since the yarn is so cheap there, and it's so far away from where we both live, I helped her get some. And then the last bag, I have some more of my friend's yarn. She got some tin merino wool and some merino wool, both in this lovely like chocolatey brown. Then I got some navy blue merino wool for a sweater for my son. Don't know exactly which sweater, but I got 6 skeins, and that should be enough for most of the sweaters that I really like. And then I got double Sunday, because I really want to try out double Sunday, and my fiance really likes lilac, so I got this in lilac. I'm also trying to expand more of which of the colors I use the most. This is like very safely in what is a color I would use a lot and easily pick, but I'm also trying to use more greens, bright red, lilac, try to branch out a bit more. So I had a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to knit with all of these Sandnes garns, because I don't really get to knit with Sandnes garn a lot because it is just too expensive for what I have money for. But now I have a lot and I am just so excited. I'm like itching to get into some of these yarns. So now my Violeta just has to be done, because I can't wait any longer. I have so many big plans, and with my yarn at home as well. But now this was like the one thing that kept me away from doing a yarn band, because I knew we were going to visit my fiance's family, and that's really close to Sandnes Garn, and I was not going to place myself on a yarn band before this and miss out of all of this yarn. But now that I've done this and I have so much yarn I'm really excited for, I'm going to place myself on a yarn band. It's not going to be strict. I'm going to allow myself to get yarn if I need something to finish a project, but there is really no way of justifying getting more yarn because I have so much now. So at least until like after the summer now, I am going to stay away from getting more yarn, because I just really want to get to all of the yarn I already have and all of the wonderful plans I have. So now I just need to stick to actually finishing my whips instead of casting on. And then I'm so excited to get to cast some of this on. when I'm done with my current whips. But that's all I have for today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed me rambling on, mostly about yarn and some of my whips. Hopefully by next week some of the whips will be done. That is my big goal. Maybe I'll even have cast on something with my new yarn here as well. But if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a like and a comment, and if you want to continue seeing this yarn madness and my wedding dress and everything, please subscribe. Bye!